So now let's talk about auto layout. And for this, I want to create a name tag, basically an avatar, a name, and let's say job description. So for that, let's start with the avatar. I go to assets, and from my material design kit, I get the generic avatar. So the size of this thing is 40 by 40. We can change that later. So the other things I need is text, basically. So I'll go to the text field and I create a text. I say this is the first name and last name, or we can just say name. Okay, and then underneath I create the job description. Okay, let's make it bigger so you can see. Okay, let's go to layers, and in the layers this should be name, that's fine. This should be job description. Okay, and this is name, this is job description, sorry. So let's get this here, and the content should be job description. Okay, so obviously we want to apply some styling to these. So the name should be let's say a medium title. So at the moment it's not giving me the material elements. For that, I can select all this. I can go to my resources, material theme builder, and select the light mode. Okay, and now I should be able to select the text style, material theme, title, medium for name, and material theme again from here, from the styles, material theme body, medium for job description. So these are now both with the material theme, and I may want to have this avatar a little bit bigger. I can go, so this is the height and width are constrained, so they will work with each other. So I can make this, let's say 60. This is great, but the way I want to lay this out is that the name and job description should appear above each other and left justified, and then them combined should be on a horizontally laid out with a center alignment. So for that, I first take the name and job description, so both of them, they're both left aligned, and there is a few other things I can set for the time. And what I want to do is I want to truncate the text after one line. So I don't want more than one line. And let's leave the width for now. Okay, so both of them have this property. Now I select both of them, do a right click, and I say frame selection. So now these two things, so if I look at my layers, they are inside the frame. So let's call it name block. Okay, so they are inside this frame. Now they are inside this frame, but what about the spacing between them and so on and so forth? So what I do is that I go to auto layout, and in the auto layout, this is align top left. It has a vertical layout, so it goes from top to bottom. So think of this as a column. And the separation between the items, let's choose 10 as the separation between the items. So therefore, if I look at the separation, I can see the red lines as the vertical gap between the items. If I were using other items, they would all be separated by this gap. Now, with regard to the container, there is no padding horizontally or vertically, so it goes to the edge of the container. Okay, so this is the name block. Then we have the avatar. So now I want to take both of them into another container, so another frame. So I've selected both. I right click and then I say frame selection. But now this frame, I want the objects in an auto layout, which is from left to right, okay? And I want a spacing of 20 between them, okay? And the other thing I want is, let's say I want to also have an overall spacing of 20 to the left, right, and also top bottom, okay? So now these two objects, so this is the name block and this is the avatar, they are sitting 20 spacing between them, which is this number, and there is a padding of 20 on all these sides. Okay, now if I take this name block and if I make this bigger, this frame, because obviously when I'm using this object in my design, for each device, it will have to fill to the side of the device typically, if it's a vertical list, for example. So this name block needs to extend all the way to the end of this thing. And that is now given with this property here. So because it's sitting inside a container, you get an option to fill the container. Okay, so this name block, we will give it an option to fill the container, which then fills the whole container. The avatar obviously has a fixed size. It doesn't need to fill the container. The other thing I want to check here is that in this frame, what we have is that the alignment is aligning bottom left. So therefore, this and this, they are aligned on the bottom. But I would rather have them aligned in the center and to the left of the thing. So therefore, I change the alignment to center and left. So now I have this frame, I have an avatar, I have a name and job description, and if there is too much text in it, it will truncate. Okay. Now this frame, the other thing I want to do with this frame is I want to give it a background color. So one of the things I can do is I can go to fill and use my styles, and from my styles I can just choose surface, for example. Okay, this is the background color. The other thing I can do is I can give this frame a radius. So give it a corner radius. Okay, so now my name tag component is ready to be built. Okay, so we can now turn this into a component. I can select the frame and let's call the name a name tag, okay, and turn it into a component. Okay, so now this name tag component has a bunch of text fields in it. What I can do is I can select each of the text fields, okay, and I can turn that into a variable. So the name variable is or a text property, okay. Text property, the name is name, the value is name, or the value is John Doe, for example. Okay, so that's a text property. Similarly, for the job description, I can turn it into a text property, create property, job description, and here car mechanic. Okay, so we now have John Doe car mechanic as a name tag, and it's a component. So if we want to use this component in our design, okay, the mistake we made is we created this component in page 1 rather than in components. So I'm going to cut this and go to components and paste it here. Okay, so for consistency, the name tag and demo component which we did before, they're all sitting here. Now on page 1, I want to create, let's say, a list of components, a list of these name tags in a vertical list. So I go to assets and I go to my local components, and now I have this name tag component. I bring this name tag component here and I create another instance of it, okay, and another instance of it. Now each instance, if you look here, it has a different, it has this text property name and job description, John Doe car mechanic. So let's do this, Jane Doe astronaut, and let's do this one, a Jim Doe doctor, for example. Okay, so it easily allowed me to create 3 instances, and for each instance I can just to display, I can change these text properties. Now I have these instances for the component that we created, the name tag component.